Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Great Men Taking Over the World. It's your boy Ren here, and today I'm going to be talking about the hidden gem, the gory, barbaric fighting game for the 16-bit era, Weapon Lord! Weapon Lord came out in 1995 when fighting games have already been thriving for years in arcades and also home consoles thanks to games like Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat. Two guys from Capcom, James Godard, who designed the character DJ in Super Street Fighter 2, and Dave Winstead, who worked on Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, wanted to create a game dedicated to fighting game enthusiasts, but were unable to create their vision while at Capcom, so they left and went to Namco and worked with Visual Concepts to develop Weapon Lord! This game never got an arcade release, it only came out for the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. While there were already weapons-based fighters like the feudal Japan-era Samurai Showdown, Weapon Lord had its own unique style. The most obvious is the dark, brutal, tribal, barbarian-like presentation, with sinister-looking levels and these ruthless warriors, armed with deadly weapons ready to tear their opponent's limb from bloody limb. You can clearly see the inspiration from Conan the Barbarian, which makes sense because apparently Godard loved Conan, and hell yeah, that movie and character is freaking awesome. The story is a demon spirit enters the body of a dying mercenary on a battlefield, then goes to conquer the lands and becomes the Demon Lord. There's a prophecy that in 25 years the Demon Lord will meet his doom when faced by the Weapon Lord. So 25 years later, he holds a tournament of badass warriors so that the winner will face him in a final one-on-one battle of bloody combat. The Demon Lord's challengers are the 7 characters that you can choose from. Kor, I am the god of war, with his big broadsword and fiery attacks. Talasia, with her quick falcon-like claw attacks. This chick is like a freaking bird or something. Zorn, or Zorg, or Zork, or whatever the hell his name is, with his axe and possessed shield that reminds me of Eddie from Iron Maiden. Devada,
shake it baby,
with her double-bladed spear and sorcery. She looks like she just came from the jungles of Pandora or something.
Shake it baby.
Bane, a crazed and cursed barbarian wielding a huge rock hammer, ready to smash some skulls and howl the night away. Agente, a warrior queen who... Jeez, this chick is ripped! Zarak, a weird-looking spider-faced helmet dude with a sweet-looking guillotine axe, so he's the Demon Lord and everyone is looking to kick his ass. There are only 7 characters, which isn't a lot for a fighter, but that's because the large character sprites took up a lot of space on the cartridge. But to make up for that, each character has around 9 to 12 special moves. Oh, is this a lot? And I think that is pretty cool, and that makes for some interesting and complex combat. The fighting can be awkward at first, especially if you're trying to play it kind of like, Street Fighter, so there is a learning curve. There are 6 attack buttons similar to Street Fighter, like a light, medium, and fierce attack. And there are some Street Fighter style motions like the quarter circle, but a lot of the moves are also negative edge type moves, meaning you'll have to hold an attack button first, then do the required D-pad motion, then let go of the attack button, which can be a bit weird at first if you're not used to these type of controls.
Gentai win.
Besides the special moves, combos are the bread and butter of this game. Kinda like Killer Instinct in that way, you will get your ass kicked by the computer if you don't learn some special moves and to chain them together. It's actually pretty damn satisfying getting some of these combos down and pulverizing your opponents into a bloody mess. There are no universal grab moves like that you would see in Street Fighter, but some characters do have them as specials. Another unique aspect of Weapon Lord that makes it interesting and deep is the thrust blocking, which essentially is a type of parry to gain offensive advantage from a defensive position, similar to that in Street Fighter 3 with that parrying system. You hold the light or medium buttons and press either up, forward, or down to parry either high, mid, or low attacks, and some of the special moves even have a repel type of effect in them, and all this totally reminds me of the Soul Blade and Soul Calibur series' guard impact system. There are 2 life bars per round, so it's similar to Killer Instinct in that way as well, but the health doesn't carry over to the next round. Both bars actually reset to full for the next round in a typical fighting game fashion. The fights just look freaking cool with the metal clashing everywhere, and the sound effects really help accentuate this as it feels like there's actual weight to the weapons. And also the satisfying sound effects of chopping up your opponent as blood flies around. It's just awesome! Let's get right into why I liked this game as a kid. Not just the cool barbaric atmosphere and characters, but the blood and gore. When you perform special move combos when your opponent is almost dead, the screen goes dark and this epic music kicks in, and you basically start mutilating your opponent in a brutal way by decapitating them, cutting their guts out, smashing their skulls as their brains fall out, and just flat out turning them into pulp as the announcer yells, "Victorious!"
Sarah is victorious.
Or juggle their decapitated head into the air. Holy shit, they don't even play! This was super crazy when I first saw this back in the 90s as a kid, and it's still pretty gruesome even now. Definitely some Mortal Kombat influence here, but unlike Mortal Kombat where you just do button prompts to get a specific fatality, in this game you do combos, and those combos dictate how you'll finish your opponent, so it lets you mix it up into how you want to butcher them. It's actually closer to a Mortal Kombat 3 brutality rather than just a typical fatality. My favorite characters are Bane and Agente, cause Bane just looks badass as hell as he swings that big bad hammer around, and there's nothing like destroying your opponent and then letting out a big ol' howl. Ow! Agente is dope too. I like her because of her sword style moves, her specials, and combos. I just love slicing and dicing as her. She's badass. The graphics are pretty good, and the gritty barbaric style is so cool and memorable. There's a kind of bone-crunching, heavy metal vibe here too, with the fantasy-like stages filled with skulls, lava, dragons, arenas. I love Bane's snowy cave level with those wolves in the background and that awesome heavy metal theme music playing. It's so freaking badass. It sounds like some Blind Guardian and Iron Maiden type stuff. Aw yeah! And all this dark and evil themed stuff like Zarek's level that's super bizarre with that big, weird, creepy looking demon guy laying in the huge pit of bones with his big old man titties jiggling around as a giant blood moon emerges from behind him. This is some weird shit. No wait! This is WEAPONLORD! The animation is pretty choppy and makes the game look kinda slow, and a lot of people criticize this game because of that, and I'll agree, yeah, this game could use a little bit of a more smoother animation to make the game look tighter and faster for sure. The creators actually wanted to optimize this game for the slow dial-up connections of the X-Band online service. They did this for timing parry animations and character turnaround time to account for the lag, which is maybe why the game seems to kind of run slow and choppy. That does make sense, right? This does seem ambitious for the time, but maybe it didn't work out the way they wanted to exactly. WEAPONLORD is a pretty cool hidden gem. Definitely ambitious for the time, and you can see that in its design for online play, as well as its deep fighting system that even Godard and Winstead believe that the gameplay became the basis for in Soul Edge and the Soul Calibur games. Not to mention, Bane sure as hell looks a lot like Rock from the Soul series. I remember going to my friend Robert's house back in 3rd grade and his grandma taking us to Hollywood Video to rent this, Clay Fighters, and some other game. I can't remember exactly what it was. This game stood out to me more than the others, and Robert even let me borrow the game even though he was the one who rented it. What a cool guy. I actually never owned this game even up till this day, and even forgot about it for a while until I brought it up to my brother one day, and I was like, hey, what was that one bloody barbaric game called that I played on the Genesis? Oh yeah, WEAPONLORD! It's too bad that this game wasn't as big as it could have been. Namco released this game for home consoles only, and not in arcades where it could have thrived and been better appreciated. And it was also released just as the 32-bit systems were coming out, therefore became overshadowed. I give WEAPONLORD a 7 out of 10. It's not an amazing game by any means, but it's definitely unique and cool. The brutal, barbaric atmosphere and gory finishers are what keep this game in memory for me. While the fighting itself is pretty cool and deep, the choppy animation and somewhat awkward move layout prevent it from being as accessible as other fighters and a true classic in the long run. It's too bad it was overlooked and forgotten, as it is definitely a hidden gem. If you can find it for cheap, I definitely recommend it. Otherwise, you can just emulate it like I've been doing and have some bloody fun that way. There are some differences with the Genesis and the SNES versions, as the SNES seems to look better and richer, but the Genesis version runs slightly faster, and in my opinion, the music is done better on the Genesis. Bane's level on the SNES just ain't quite as epic and metal as it is on the Genesis. Oh yeah! Alright! So guys, thanks for joining me on another episode where I took a look at this cool hidden gem for the 16-bit era. Pretty cool fighting game. Definitely check it out if you are a fan of fighting games or just retro games in general. So guys, let me know what you think of Weapon Lord, if you've played it or if you want to play it or you think it just looks dumb or whatever. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed watching this video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Until next time guys, adios. Weapon Lord!